Meanwhile, Mavs win the lottery. Is Cooper Flagg a done deal, or is there a chance this pick could be traded? Maybe another superstar comes to Dallas. And finally, Mahomes on Christmas. But will it be the Broncos who say, bah humbug? Well, Christmas themed there. Alongside Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wildes. Nick, are you excited about the Chiefs playing on Christmas Day for the third consecutive year?
I'm glad it's in the evening.
Okay.
That is better. I'm also glad it's on a Thursday. I thought the Tuesday Christmas game was unwieldy to a degree, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm glad that they are going to get to put some coal in Sean Payton's loudmouth stocking. Ooh. I'm very glad about that.
I don't know about that.
You certain about that?
I'm certain about that. Okay. You know what? Guarantee.
No.
It's
never
early
a doubt.
Guarantee.
Never a doubt. Okay.
Never a doubt. You get another tattoo.
No.
Yeah.
But we're starting today's show only an hour long today, but it's going to be power packed. We're starting, unfortunately, with Tatum's injury. He was working on a 42-point game, but the Celtics were down 7 in the fourth when he crumbled to the floor. Left the Garden in a wheelchair. Looks like he was in considerable pain. Here was Brunson and Jaylen Brown after the game.
Prayers out to JT, man. I just want to make that and say that first and foremost. Thoughts and prayers with him, and just praying for the best.
I think everybody's concerned, with Jason. I'm not sure how bad it is. Didn't look great, but I think everybody is, kind of more concerned with that.
Okay, your reaction, bro.
Well, it was obviously just terribly unfortunate. I was there in the building. It was nice to see, the Knicks fans cheering when he was taken off the court. But he was having that game, the 42 points, obviously, but also in the fourth quarter, he was delivering. He had 11 points. He was, I don't want to say single-handedly because, they're a team. He's not like a one-man show. But in this fourth quarter, 11 points in the 7 minutes that he played in the fourth, he was by himself trying to stave off the Knicks. Because it was Brunson, it was Bridges, OG Anunoby, all of those guys scored key buckets in the fourth quarter, and he was trying to fight them off. I think they were down 9 when he got hurt. Yeah. So I do think the Knicks, at that point, I felt like the Knicks were going to win anyway. But once he went out, obviously it was over. But here's the thing, and look, we jump on Jason Tatum a lot. He is a legitimate superstar. He is going to be deservedly first-team All-NBA.
For the fourth straight year?
Yeah, I mean, the dude is clearly a Hall of Famer. That's not even a question anymore. But look at this, what he's done historically compared to other Celtics greats.
Oh, wow.
Last night was his fifth 40-point game. I think we have a graphic coming up. Fifth 40-point game. And he did it in 121 games. So he tied Bird and Havlicek for the most 40-point games in playoff history. Look at how many more games they played. Paul Pierce is fifth, played more games. So Tatum's played fewer games than all of these legends and Hall of Famers, and he's got the 5 40-point games.
It's also striking that he's only played 40 less playoff games as a Celtic than Bird. You know what I mean?
Because he started so young right away.
And they've always been in the playoffs.
Yep. And so, Bird has some bad playoff games. Everybody has, essentially.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it off the set. Besides, like, Jordan and LeBron, a lot of the ultra elite superstars have had bad games that had there been shows like this where the next day you're critiquing him, we would have been jumping. We're looking at Jokic struggle right now. Yeah. And so I do, and I get it. I see the things in this game that aren't, that bother you a little bit. But I just want to give him his props because the dude is really a bad boy. And I'm not saying that just because he's injured. You just saw the graphic, so he should get props.
So, listen, I think that, and you kind of set me up perfectly. It's a tough day for Celtics fans. And tough day, obviously, for Tatum fans, and I can't imagine how difficult it is for Jason Tatum. If I may be the eternal optimist, before I do some kind of sober facts about where this means for them moving forward, the tiniest of silver linings is when he does come back, if it is as devastating of an injury as we fear it is, and he misses probably all of next year, it will be a total narrative shift in how he is discussed. Because I think some Celtics fans, Wild's probably the most vocal on this show, feels he has been underappreciated and over-critiqued given what he has accomplished.
Sure.
And I think when he comes back, it will be more about, you know what I mean?
Great
the
point.
comeback, I think everyone will be rooting for him, and it will be almost a collective trying, not that dissimilar, and you hope it is as similar as far as recovery as Durant. Where Durant was a guy, people can forget it, who was picked at.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was...
Even after winning.
Right, even after winning, but once he got hurt and then came back, it was more like, oh my God. Like he is the same old Kevin Durant in a good way. So like,
and he's so young, Tatum. He should still.
You would
come
hope
back,
so.
But I think people will be pulling for him to like win a ring.
Exactly.
Non-Celtics fans.
And so my other. Do you want to do a Tatum thing before I do kind of big picture Celtics?
Well,
KW?
before you do big picture, we know that he's a winner. We know that he like consistently produces like your graphic. I didn't realize how much of an Iron Man he had been. And there was no real major injury if you just go through your memory like, yeah, I guess he's never really hurt. But to the degree at which he has played, since coming in the league, he's played the most games, 706. He's only missed 52.
Big.
And I think the first time he ever missed a playoff game was the wrist.
Yes, for the Magic.
You know what I mean?
Wow. I would not have guessed
the minutes are at almost 25,000. So it's 1,500 more than Joker.
Wow.
There's one other note that I do think the Celtics are not like totally dead, but the Celtics were 8-2 without Tatum this year. I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah. The games that he would miss are all the bad teams. So even when he missed games this year, he took off Portland, Utah, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Washington, Charlotte. Yeah. Like he would, all right, I'll take this one off, get some rest. So even the games that he's missing, he's still available. Not quite Mikal Bridges-esque, but in that same league.
And it's harder to do what Tatum does than what Bridges does. You know, like as far as not that Bridges doesn't play heavy minutes, but just the ask.
He carries the load, yeah.
So now, I think the sobering reality for Celtic fans, if I may.
Yeah.
Every single team that wins a championship, it sure looks like they're going to win the next one until it looks like they might not win another one for years and years and years. And 2020, 2019, the Raptors, we didn't think they were going to win the next one.
I have this graphic too. You want to play with this graphic?
Well, I wasn't going to do a graphic, but sure, if you want to throw it in.
Here's the list that you can play off of.
Okay. So again, Raptors, it's to me are an outlier because we all thought they were done because Kawhi left.
Lost Kawhi.
Right. Yeah. The Lakers were the favorites to win the championship the next year.
Yep.
Then Solomon Hill hit LeBron in the ankle. The Bucks were the favorites to win the championship all year. And then Chris Middleton got hurt in the playoffs. The Warriors weren't the favorites, but it looked like they might be able to do it. They got clipped by the Lakers. The Nuggets, no one was beating them, and I'd give you a hard time, but they looked like no one was going to beat them. Yep. And then they just have a shocking kind of Game 7 meltdown. And within 11 months, 10 months of that, they're firing their head coach. The Celtics, yesterday afternoon, the conventional wisdom was, well, they're obviously going to beat the Knicks. You know what I mean? They were the favorites, and they the way everything was breaking. And now, Brew, last night, almost assuredly, was the last game Jason Tatum will ever play with Al Horford. He's probably retiring after this year. It was probably the last game he'll play with Kristaps Porzingis, who has 1 year left on his deal and is potentially tradable this offseason. And it might have been the last game he played with Drew Holiday. And I think that they will just hang on to Jaylen Brown. And by the way, I'm not saying all of these guys. What I'm saying is
it's going to be a totally different team.
It's going to be a totally different team. And I think that tragically and sadly, I think they were going to, and we'll talk about it in a second, lose last night and lose this series even if Tatum didn't get hurt.
I agree with that. The game was slipping away. I think it's a silly narrative, like they only lost because Tatum.
Okay, all right, so that's what I thought. That's where I said you were wrong. I apologize. I thought that's what you were saying off the top.
No, the game was gone.
No, they were down 9 with 3 minutes and 4 seconds left, and the Knicks were playing great. But this playoffs wouldn't have been over. You would have come on here today and be like, they could do it. They could come back and win the series. I think you might still think they could come back and win the series. Now I believe this playoffs is over. I think next year's over. And it's just, your window is this open until all of a sudden you're in a totally new situation. And that's the reality of the NBA.
But see, I think, and you got to give obviously their front office real credit, Brad Stevens, like they'll rebuild properly.
Yes.
And obviously Tatum will still be a superstar. Jaylen Brown will still be a star. They're going to be, once he gets back fully healthy, let's say it's, 2027 or whatever the year would be, like, they're going to be right there.
We also don't, I don't want to jump. We're not doctors. We don't know what this is.
No.
I'm not willing to write off
next
all of
year.
next year.
That's totally true.
I think that's a lot of assumptions on the Achilles,
It'll be
and I'm not
interesting how
willing to
different
go
they
there.
look next year, too. Do they make, I mean, it won't be complete overhaul, but there'll be some changes, too.
Can I add one other butterfly effect of this?
Yeah.
Before we get to the actual game? You're right, and I'm not trying to play doctor, and
No, but it's just out there now because he was in so much pain.
But the pain to me actually speaks that, that wasn't the pain reaction usually of an Achilles, but it was the movement. Again, I don't know.
Well, look, we've seen guys look like it was over for the year, and then they're playing the second half.
And so here's
Anthony Edwards pop up.
Right.
If whatever the diagnosis is, if it is that it looks like he's going to miss a year, I do wonder if Giannis says, maybe I give it one more year in Milwaukee. I wonder if rather than go west where everyone is, if Boston is self-eliminated for the year, if Cleveland is just not taken seriously again, like I do wonder if the ripple effect of if the Celtics are kind of eliminated as contender for next season, what that means for a lot of